Let's take a look at some testimony, some questions about the red plastic and the chain of custody from Karen's vehicle.
Consisted of several pieces of red apparent plastic and one piece of clear apparent plastic that measured 1/8 of an inch by 1/16 of an inch. Is that accurate?
Okay, so there were several pieces of red apparent plastic and then one piece of clear apparent plastic measuring approximately 1/8 of an inch by 1/16 of an inch. Yes.
Okay. And I apologize for continually reminding you, but I'm just mindful that everybody needs to hear you. So to the best you can, if you can just keep your voice up, I'll try to do the same. So when those several pieces of apparent red plastic and one piece of apparent clear plastic came into your possession, those pieces were obviously not embedded in either shirt when you examined them, correct?
I don't know. I didn't examine the shirt.
Well, so to my question, the pieces that you saw were not embedded in a shirt when you examined them, correct?
Correct.
And again, that's because you never took possession of any shirt in this case, correct?
Correct.
The pieces were loose and they were not embedded in anything, correct?
The pieces were, well, I examined the debris from the shirt. I don't know what the person who packaged it did to collect that.
Okay. And so it goes without saying that you never saw those pieces on either the orange shirt or the gray long sleeve shirt, correct?
I did not.
And you obviously had no control over how the evidence was handled before it came into your possession, correct?
We have a chain of custody in the laboratory, but I did not follow the evidence as it went through the chain.
Okay, and we'll talk about the chain of custody in a minute. Before this evidence came into your possession, you did not witness who seized it, correct?
Correct.
You did not witness who handled it, correct?
Correct.
Before it came into your possession, you don't know who had access to that evidence, correct?
So all of our evidence is stored in locked facilities.
Right, but I guess let me modify that question. Before it came to your lab, you don't know who had access to that evidence, correct?
Correct.
So they're really trying to point at the chain of custody here when I don't know that there's a whole lot of issues with chain of custody here, but because she didn't see it happening, or, I mean, that's going to be normal when it's going from one person to another. You're not necessarily going to witness everyone handling the evidence when it gets to you. You just need to make sure that that chain of custody is consistent. Is there anything to that? Is there? I mean, obviously, it's trying to create reasonable doubt, but could there be some issues here with the chain of custody?
Maybe. Again, the questions weren't really clarifying as to whether there is an issue. Chain of custody is pretty easy to see.
Yeah,
'cause it's written. It's either can produce chain of custody as evidence or not.
yeah.
I think he's doing a decent job of, again, so in reasonable doubt, tying plastic flecks found to John to the vehicle, because again, he's, as I'm seeing it, just like that, is just, hey, here's some pieces of plastic. Does this mean anything? I mean, well, what's the point of it?
Yeah.
So I think they're just trying to distance themselves from the plastic. And again, they're going for reasonable doubt, and the jury's watching this, that this is from her bumper, from her taillight, and it hit John.
And I think that some other question here is did she, is the broken taillight even from hitting him, is what I wonder, because we also saw a video today of Karen backing into his Traverse, and you could see the wheel of the Traverse move when she was backing into it on that security cam video when they really zoomed it in. Now, was it enough to make a broken taillight? I don't know, but there was certainly contact made. That can't be denied anymore. But again, it's another piece, like maybe the taillight really has nothing to do with John's injuries at all.
And again, it's nothing here saying intent.
No,
she intentionally did any of this, and then that's, again, there goes the charge. I think is just way off. Why isn't anyone else charged in that house? It's again, every week and every day, I think we keep seeing how sad this case is, because as we go deeper and deeper with everyone involved in this, everyone's dirty laundry about them as human beings is getting exposed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's anything more than just some local people doing really bad behavior.
Yeah.
And we had a severe tragedy take place because of it.
Let's listen to some testimony here. It's Sergeant Bucknick describing John O'Keefe's injuries and talking about the abrasions that were found on his clothing.
Now, in addition to the injuries that you observed to Mr. O'Keefe's face, what, if any, injuries did you observe to his extremities?
His extremities produced abrasions to his upper forearm and lower bicep area on his right arm.
And just as you use that term, I'm not asking for any sort of medical definition, but as far as you use that term abrasions, what do you understand that term to be?
I understand that term to be a injury sustained through blunt force trauma or friction to the epidermis of the skin, where a crushing of the vascular system occurs and produces that type of sign on the skin.
And from your observation of the injuries to Mr. O'Keefe's arm, which arm was this again?
It was his right arm.
And as far as your observation of those injuries to his right arm, what, if any, as far as the consistency of those injuries, what, if anything, did you note or observe in reference to those?
Objection. Consistency with what? With the...
Let me rephrase this.
Yeah.
How were the abrasions that you're describing positioned in relation to each other?
Each abrasion appeared to me to be linear and concentrated in a specific location on the arm. It didn't go any further north of a point and did not go any further south of a point. So it was concentrated in the elbow, a few inches below the elbow, a few inches above the elbow on the right arm.
So I'm going to ask you before I make my commentary, what's your take on that sort of an injury right there?
Something hit him.
Yeah.
I literally, and again, I know I keep harping on this. So something hit him. Could have been a vehicle, could have been falling down, could have been stairs, could have been, because I'm not a forensic, injury guy.
Yeah.
But could have been a vehicle, could have been her vehicle, could have been someone else's vehicle. Again, when you have the type of injury, when you have the type of evening they had, a lot of things could have happened.
Yes. I mean, does it sound like it could be injuries from a fight?
I think we'd have to see pictures of it.
Yeah.
Descriptions of it. So here's the other thing too. Just because, we're getting a package of the injuries being described, it doesn't mean that all those injuries happened at the same time.
Yeah, true.
There could have been a fight at one point. They could have fallen downstairs at another point. Could have been hit by a car at another point. I mean, it
could have been everything. Yeah.
You don't know when any of these happened because, again, what's the underlying thing here?
Drugs.
No one has an accurate memory.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, I mean, how many, just for everyone listening, how many people have actually been someplace where people have overindulged and dumb things happen? People fall down, stumble throughout the evening from doing things. I mean, what they're trying to do is, in this one clip is package them all together, but we don't know if they're all happened at the same time or not.
Sure.
I mean, there's no way to tell that unless you actually had eyewitness evidence, but there was none. So you're trying to match up potential vehicle damage with the injuries there, and they might not completely overlay, even though it might be, but other injuries might have happened throughout the same evening. We don't know.
It's trying to put a puzzle together when you have broken pieces of the puzzle. you can't quite. Should this fit together? Should it not? I don't know.
It's a great analogy, Tony. It's trying to put a puzzle together from the pieces you have, but you don't have the picture of knowing what you're trying to build.
True. Yeah, I think that's just where it's sitting right now. It's certainly a fascinating trial no matter what, but I don't know I don't know that anyone's going to be able to prove anything other than just a lot of bad behavior.
Yeah, and I think that's the key point there. And when you look at things like this, just because evidence presents itself from defense or prosecution as a package, this is what objective people do. You just don't say, "Well, okay, it all happened at the same time." Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because we don't know the data on that. I mean, that's the first thing that struck me. It's like, how do we know all that happened at the same time? They're saying it did, but they're assuming it did, but. And see, and there lies a reason, more reasonable doubt, as to if it doesn't make sense, if you can't understand it, it means we don't have all the data to put it together. So there's lots of missing pieces here.
Lots. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.